My wife's boss sent her a limo on our anniversary. Dinner with him is non-negotiable, she smiled. I'd just finished setting up the backyard. She'd always dreamed of lights, music, her favorite meal. She didn't even look back. I blew out the candles alone. 3 months later, she was standing outside that same backyard, a hair mess, sobbing, whispering through the fence, "Please come back." She didn't even look back. That's the part one can't shake. The limo door closed with a click softer than the scream it left in my chest. Her heel twisted in the gravel as she slid inside, laughing at something the driver said. And I stood there, alone, in a backyard I'd spent 3 weeks building from scratch, still holding the lighter I'd used to ignite the citronella candles. Wind flicked the flame sideways. Music played on low from the speakers tucked into the trees. Our song. The one from our wedding. Happy anniversary, right? I grilled the steak she loved. Garlic butter resting just right on the crust. Twice-baked potatoes in ramekins I had to borrow from the neighbor because she liked them personal-sized. String lights zigzagged over the patio, dimmed just enough to make the fountain centerpiece glow like something from a garden magazine. It was perfect. Or it would have been. But instead of stepping through the screen door in that blue sundress she always wore for our special nights, she just smiled, tight-lipped, careful, like a mask, and said, "Dinner with him is non-negotiable." She didn't even pretend to hesitate. Just turned, walked past everything I'd built for her, and vanished into a car sent by her boss. I stood there for a while. Didn't cry. Didn't flip the table or throw the wine bottle against the fence like some cliché. I just blew out the candles. One by one. The smell of burnt wicks and rosemary hung in the air like a funeral. The steak went cold. The music kept playing. I ate alone. That was 3 months ago. Yeah? Now she's outside the same fence she ignored that night, barefoot, makeup streaked, sobbing like something sacred broke inside her. She's whispering my name through the wooden slats, hands pressed flat like a child begging entry. "Please come back," she says. I didn't know. I swear. I didn't know he'd. She doesn't finish. And I don't ask her to. Because the truth is, this didn't start with the limo. That was just the spotlight dropping on a stage that had been set for months. Let me back up. I work from home, mostly. Run a small design firm. Nothing fancy, but I pay the bills, keep the lights on, and even splurged on the backyard project as a surprise. Meanwhile, Heather, my wife, had been climbing the ladder at her tech firm. Long hours. Out-of-town conferences. Late-night strategy sessions that always seemed to involve wine bars and team bonding. I trusted her. Because that's what you do when you build a life with someone. But slowly things shifted. She stopped sitting next to me on the couch. Started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. Laughed less. Argued more. Called me needy when I asked if she was okay. And then there was him. David Mercer. Her boss. The kind of man who orders top-shelf scotch just to let it go warm. Charisma like a blade. Twice divorced, no kids, and a track record of mentorship that always ended in HR whispers and quiet transfers. Heather called him intense, visionary, a little much. I called him trouble the first time I saw them together at her office party. He stood too close. Laughed too hard at her jokes. Brushed her arm like it was an accident every single time. I brought it up once. She said I was jealous. "You work in sweatpants and he's building an empire," she snapped. I let it go. Stupid, right? And then on our 10th anniversary, the car pulled up. Not a cab. Not an Uber. A black stretch limo with tinted windows and champagne already chilling inside. She stepped out in a new dress I'd never seen, low cut, too tight, expensive. Her phone buzzed. She checked it. Smiled. "He says hi," she said. I asked who. She didn't answer. Just looked around the backyard like it was a science project she didn't quite understand. "This is sweet," she said. "But tonight, it's about work. I can't miss it. He's launching the new division and he needs me there." She kissed my cheek. No lips. No warmth. And then she was gone. 3 months of silence followed. She didn't come back that night. Or the next. We didn't fight. There was no yelling match. Just air. Space. A void too loud to ignore. Then the papers came. Legalese. Separation. She wanted time. Clarity. Meanwhile, the rumors started. My friend Natalie saw her at Mercer's beach house, holding hands, laughing on the balcony like a movie scene. My cousin works IT at her firm, said the entire department knew. That Mercer replaced his last assistant with Heather the same way. And me? I rebuilt the backyard. Added a fire pit. Fixed the gate latch she always hated. Threw out the chair she used to read in. I didn't block her. Didn't chase her. I just stopped being the guy waiting for the front door to open. But tonight? She showed up. Hair mess. Shoes missing. Whispering through the fence like it's the only thing holding her together. Please, she said. Please just talk to me. I didn't. Not yet. Because somewhere behind her, parked half up on the curb, is a familiar black car, still idling. Mercer's driver. And the engine's still running. Update 1. She stood there whispering my name for 10 minutes before she realized I wasn't going to open the gate. I watched her through the kitchen blinds, fingers gripping the sink edge like a lifeline. Every few seconds she'd lean forward, resting her head against the wood like it could forgive her. I almost opened the door. I really did. But then I looked past her toward the idling car at the curb. Same driver. Same smug posture. Elbow hanging out the window, sunglasses still on even though it was nearly 9 p.m. And I realized something. She hadn't really left him. She was just circling the drain. Eventually, she turned, saw me through the glass. Her face broke. She mouthed something I couldn't make out and started around the side gate like we were still married. Still tethered by trust. I locked the back door before she reached it. I heard the gate creak open. She stepped onto the patio, barefoot on the flagstone. I laid myself and gasped like she was seeing it for the first time. You rebuilt it, she whispered. No shit, I thought. She didn't ask to come in. Just sat on the edge of the fire pit like it was still hers to sit on. Her hands were shaking. Makeup streaked across her cheeks like she'd rubbed it off mid-panic. I didn't speak. Just opened the door enough to slide her a folded blanket and shut it again. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was trying to stay on the side of sane. She stayed out there for an hour. Eventually, the car drove off. She knocked. 3 times. Soft, then frantic, then nothing. Then her voice. He's not who I thought he was. I didn't respond. Because that wasn't news. The next morning, she was gone. Blanket folded on the chair. Fire, it's still warm. Her perfume still clinging to the air like a memory I never wanted back. There was a note under the blanket. I made a mistake. Please let me explain. Please. And a phone number I didn't recognize. Burner, probably. Or a work phone. I didn't call. Instead, I went to the gym. Bought overpriced coffee. Drove to a hardware store I didn't need to visit just to avoid going home. When I finally did, there was a package on the porch. No return address. Inside, a stack of printed emails, a USB drive, and a note in handwriting I barely recognized anymore. If you want the truth, it's all here. I stared at it for an hour. Then plugged in the drive. It wasn't just her and Mercer. It was them. Heather and David weren't a fling. They were partners. Not romantically. Strategically. Legally. The USB had PDFs of company filings, bank statements, emails outlining a shell company they started 6 weeks before our anniversary. 6 weeks. They'd been planning to launch a consulting firm under Mercer's name with Heather as silent co-founder. The idea was simple: funnel high-risk clients from Mercer's firm into the side gig for special services, then let the profits slide into offshore accounts Heather had set up. She used her maiden name for the paperwork. Classic trick. But the emails? Those were the real knives. She wasn't just lying to me. She was mocking me. Lines like, I can't believe he's still building that damn backyard. It's like watching a puppy drag a stick home thinking it's treasure. Dinner's with Mercer tonight, ugh, but at least it's not another grilled steak from Mr. Predictable. He still texts me goodnight. Like that fixes everything. If only love could pay rent. That one stung. But the worst was a thread between her and Chloe. Yeah, that Chloe, her old college roommate who used to crash on our couch during bad boyfriend phases. Chloe replied, just write it out. Squeeze what you can. When Mercer drops the wife act, you'll have everything. Heather answered, he won't drop her yet. But I've got leverage. The emails. The filings. If he tries to back out, I take half. I sat on the floor and read it twice. Then I got in the car. I didn't know where I was going. Just drove. Ended up at Natalie's house, my friend, my ex-coworker, the only person who hadn't flinched when I told her the truth months ago. She made tea. Didn't say much. Just sat with me until I could breathe again. You know she's going to try to flip this, Natalie said eventually. She's not sorry. She's cornered. She was right. That night I got a text. From Heather. A different number. Again. He fired me. Said the deal's off. I think he knew I told you. I have nowhere to go. He locked me out of the shared account. Can we talk? Please. I'll sign whatever. I just need. I didn't respond. But I forwarded the USB contents to my lawyer. The next morning, he called me at 6:47 a.m. Holy hell, he said. You could ruin them both. Do I need to? That depends, he said, on whether you want justice or a scorched earth. So now I've got options. Option 1, expose it all. File for divorce citing financial betrayal. Submit the documents to her firm's legal team. Leak the emails to the press if I want to go nuclear. Ruin her career. Possibly Mercer's too. Make her name radioactive. Option 2, quiet exit. Take the evidence. Negotiate. Force her to give up everything, no fight, no alimony, no claims to the house or assets. Walk away with clean hands and a loaded cannon in case she ever tries to twist the story. Option 3, let her back in. Leverage the power. Make her feel the imbalance. Let her crawl. Make her live in the house she once mocked. Cook meals in the kitchen she called dated. Live under the eye of a man who now holds every string. But that third one feels hollow. Because revenge that close to the skin always leaves scars on you. I haven't decided yet. But I know this, the man she tried to use as a launchpad? He's not waiting anymore. He's watching, planning, building. Because the truth is, she wasn't wrong when she said I had potential. She just didn't realize that leaving me was what lit the fuse. More soon. I haven't even told you what Mercer did next. Let's just say, some bosses don't like being beaten at their own game. And this one, he made a move. The stupid one. Update 2. The envelope showed up 2 days after I forwarded the USB to my lawyer. Courier delivery. No return address. Just my name. Typed in bold block letters like someone wanted to scream it without speaking. Inside, a cease and desist. David Mercer was officially pissed. His firm's letterhead stamped on every page, full of legal fluff about proprietary information and breach of confidentiality and defamation threats. At the bottom, handwritten in ink so dark it bled. This won't end well for you. It was the first time I'd seen his handwriting. Sharp, all caps, the kind of penmanship that thinks it can buy its way out of consequence. My lawyer laughed for a full minute before saying, "This is the legal equivalent of a toddler throwing a tantrum in a 3-piece suit." But it told me everything I needed to know. He was scared, because he knew what was coming, and I hadn't even pulled the pin yet. Meanwhile, Heather kept trying. Texts, emails, a voicemail where she's crying so hard she hiccups every few seconds. I didn't know how deep he was into this. I thought I could handle it. I thought I was protecting us. That word did more damage than any email. There was no us. Not anymore. She burned that word the night she climbed into a limo while her husband stood in the backyard alone, holding a plate of food she never even smelled. Still, the messages kept coming. She wanted to explain everything, to meet just once, to be human again. And every time I felt less and less. Not anger, not sadness, just analysis. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her strategy, which made what came next especially rich. Remember that shell company she built with Mercer? My lawyer ran it through some databases, buried under 2 LLCs with offshore routing numbers and a board that consisted of Heather, Mercer, and someone named L. Rains. Took us a while to figure out who that was. Turns out, L. Rains is Mercer's executive assistant, the one who's been with him through both divorces, the one everyone assumed was just a loyal admin. The one who never spoke at company dinners, just stood silently by his side with a clipboard and that ice-pick stare. She wasn't a secretary. She was the architect. Emails between her and Heather confirmed it. Rains built the funnel, tracked the cash flow, set up the back-end accounts, and even suggested Heather create distance by moving out after the anniversary. You read that right. Heather's impulsive decision to bail on our anniversary dinner? Planned. Coordinated, pre-timed with Mercer's launch party and a media pivot. They never actually pulled off because the shell company didn't get traction. Too many loose ends, too many secrets, too much ego. And now, Rains had flipped. My lawyer got a call from a contact in Mercer's firm. Anonymous, female, nervous as hell. Said Rains was furious. She'd been left holding the bag after Heather got dumped and Mercer ghosted. She'd been quietly leaking documents to a few reporters under a pseudonym, starting to build a paper trail in case the feds got involved. She didn't want to go down with the ship. And suddenly, I had a new ally. That's when I decided to respond to Heather. One line. No emotion. Meet me. 10 a.m. Saturday. The patio. No lawyers. No phones. Just truth. She showed up 15 minutes early. Same gray sweater she wore on our first date. Hair down. No makeup. Eyes swollen like she hadn't slept. She looked human. Finally. Tragically. Real. I didn't speak first. She did. And what she said floored me. She wasn't just screwing Mercer. She was replacing him. The plan had always been to let him think he was in control, ride his funding, build the company, then pivot to take over when the IRS heat inevitably forced him to distance himself. She'd been collecting dirt, prepping legal buffers, even talking to competitors in the shadows. You think I left you for love? She said. I left you because he was leverage. Because you weren't moving fast enough. That one hurt. Not because I loved her still. But because she never really saw me. Just potential. Untapped. Unshaped. Disposable. I let her talk for 20 more minutes. Then I handed her a folder. Inside? A signed affidavit from Rains. Details of the financial misdealings. Proof Heather filed false business expenses. Emails about planned client poaching. All time-stamped. All linked back to Heather's name. Her face went pale. What do you want? She asked. And I told her. You signed the divorce papers. Today. You waive any claim to assets, property, or spousal support. You walk away clean. And if I don't? I lean back. Then this folder goes to every journalist Rains already contacted. And Mercer. I smiled. He doesn't go down alone. You do too. Maybe first. She cried. Real tears this time. Not because she was sorry, but because she'd finally lost. She signed. Right there. Shaky hands. Lip bleeding from where she bit it. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't offer closure. Just stood, took the folder, and left her sitting in the chair she once picked out for our forever home. That night, I grilled a steak. Same cut. Same seasoning. Sat alone in the backyard, lights strung overhead, the music from our wedding playlist drifting soft over the speakers. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a graveyard. It felt like a beginning. But I'm not done yet. Because Mercer? Still breathing. And Rains? She's not just flipping sides. She's offering receipts. Next update soon. And trust me, this story has one more chapter. Maybe two. Update 3. Let me start with the moment I knew Mercer was done. It wasn't the legal threats. It wasn't the firm's HR discreet inquiry. It wasn't even the whisper campaign Rains had quietly fed into a journalist's inbox. It was a Sunday morning. I was cleaning the gutters. Sweating, swearing, trying not to slip off the ladder when a silver Lexus pulled into my driveway. At first, I thought it was a neighbor. Then I saw the license plate. Custom. Black letters. Too clean. It was his. Not the limo. His car. Mercer stepped out in khakis and a polo like he was coming to check on my landscaping. No entourage. No smirk. Just that CEO calm that says, everything you think you've won? It's temporary. He stood at the base of my ladder and looked up like I owed him an explanation for blocking his son. Can we talk? He said. I didn't answer. Just climbed down slow, wiped my hands on a rag, and leaned against the garage wall. You think this makes you a man? He asked. A few screenshots? A crying ex-wife? You're playing in a world you don't understand. I stared at him, then smiled. You're right, I said. I don't understand it, but I own parts of it now. Because thanks to Rains, I had access to everything. See, Rains hadn't just flipped. She detonated. Turns out Mercer's empire was hollow. Smoke and mirrors backed by loans, inflated contracts, and strategic lies. The shell company he started with Heather was just one of several. He'd been running side hustles through fake vendors, routing profits through LLCs owned by interns, and inflating company valuations to pad investor reports. It was fraud dressed in charisma. And Heather? She was just the latest accessory. A tool. He'd done this before, groomed, elevated, discarded. But Rains? She knew where the bones were buried. And she was tired of being the gravedigger. Over the course of 2 weeks, she sent my lawyer internal memos misdated to match legal deadlines. Bank transfers disguised as contractor payments. One went to his mistress in Dubai. Meeting transcripts from Zoom calls where Mercer explicitly discussed hiding assets. And most damning? A recording. Audio only. Scratchy but clear. Mercer, Heather, and Rains arguing. Heather screaming that she was promised a partnership, that she left everything for this, and Mercer laughing. Saying you were a narrative, not a partner. Don't confuse the two. She threatened him. Said she'd go public. He said, go ahead. You're the liability now. That was 6 weeks before she showed up sobbing outside my fence. So yeah, when Mercer stood in my driveway, smug and tan, pretending he still had leverage, I wasn't impressed. I was ready. I don't want this getting ugly, he said. I laughed. Then you should have stayed out of my marriage. His jaw twitched. You released that audio, he warned, you hurt more than me. You ruined careers. Investments. Lives. He said investments like it meant something sacred. I pulled out my phone. Tapped the screen. The speaker in my garage hummed to life. Mercer's voice filled the air. That same call. That same moment. You were a narrative. Not a partner. He went white. Turn that off. I didn't. You came here to flex, I said. But you're already bleeding. I'm just watching to see who notices first. He took a step forward. You leak anything, I bury you in paperwork. Litigation, arbitration, character assault. I stepped in close. You think I care? You think I'm trying to win in your world? I lowered my voice. I'm not here to fight you. I smiled. I'm here to collapse you. He left. But not before knocking my trash can over like a tantrum and loafers. 2 days later, the first article dropped. Not in a major paper. Just a respected tech blog. Headline, Charisma, Capital, and Cover UPS. What's really happening behind Mercer and Vail? No names. No accusations. Just questions. And quotes from anonymous sources, Rains, other assistants, 2 investors. By the end of the week, his firm was trending on Twitter. Hashtag Mercer Files. More leaks. More receipts. Heather's emails. Expense reports. A memo with Mercer's digital signature authorizing funds to a company that didn't exist. Then the board got involved. Internal audit. External counsel. Emergency meetings. And Heather? She tried to pivot. Posted an Instagram story about escaping toxicity followed by a filtered selfie with the caption. Rebuilding. Regrowing. Hashtag new chapter. The comments were brutal. You mean after your co-founder dropped you? Tell Mercer we said hi. Your husband says hi from the backyard you never wanted. She deleted it within hours. Too late. Screenshots last forever. Then the real fallout hit. Mercer was suspended pending investigation. His accounts frozen. The board launched a full audit. Rains was placed on leave with pay, but everyone knew she'd already made her play. Heather vanished offline. Deleted her socials. Moved in with her sister 2 towns over. And me? I got a call from a reporter. Said she traced the original USB back to me through metadata. Asked if I wanted to go on record. I said no. Because this was never about fame. It was about balance. About standing in the ashes with clean hands while the fire found its source. One last thing. Last night, another limo showed up. Same model. Same driver. But this time, no Heather. No Mercer. Just an envelope. Inside? A note. This was never supposed to end like this. No signature. Just a key. To a safety deposit box. Rain's final move. Inside the box? Contracts. Photos. Passports. Enough to kill 3 careers. And 1 envelope labeled. Just in case. Inside it? A check. Made out to me. High 5 figures. No memo line. No explanation. Just that. My lawyer thinks it's hush money. I think it's regret. I haven't cashed it. Not yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll frame it. A receipt from the life I escaped. A symbol that sometimes, the backyard gets rebuilt. The candles stay lit. And the ones who walked away? They never really left. They just lost the right to come back. Epilogue. 3 weeks later, I signed the sale papers. Not for the house. For the company. I sold my design firm to a larger group. Cashed out. Paid off the mortgage. Took what was left and bought a little place on the edge of town. Big porch. No neighbors. Just me, a dog I named Matchstick, and the garden I always said I'd plant. I don't check Heather's socials anymore. Don't follow Mercer's collapse. The world doesn't need me to watch. It's doing fine on its own. I just sit in the yard some nights, glass in hand, fire pit crackling, and think about how quiet peace sounds. Not silence. Not surrender. Peace. And that's the one thing they'll never touch.